Hello and welcome to Building on a Budget Models. Today we're going to be starting the Hasegawa Jaguar XJR-9 LM. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe and click that bell button to stay notified. Firstly, this is a pretty old kit, dated from 1989. If you want to see it in more detail, please feel free to have a look at my unboxing. Started with the base, sanding and using a blade to scrape away some of the joints with the sprue. A lot of this kit is based on the XJR-9 kit, which Hasegawa have also released. Most of this needed to be done in matte black, so I did most of that using a broad brush, and I also glued in the interior tub, as that also needs to be done in matte black. Did think about getting some carbon fibre decals for this, but I just felt most of the ones that I found were set up for the Tamiya version, which has an engine, and they just wouldn't have been worth it, I don't think. This electronic box in here is done in gloss blue. The race seat has got moulded seat belts, so I tried to sand some of them down using a sanding stick and some sandpaper. And then I painted it matte black just like the rest. The front lip of the front diffuser is done in British Racing Green, so I used the Tamiya curved masking tape to mask around the edge before applying it. I then used some Humbrol British Racing Green gloss along the edge. This tore off a little bit of the black whilst I was removing it, so I'll touch that up afterwards. I then used some blue sticky back vinyl for the seat belts. I narrowed the tip to let them pass through the seatbelt buckles, which are from ABBA. It's important to fit these before gluing in the seat, as they fold behind the seat itself. I like using the sticky back vinyl because you can secure it into place without need of any glue. And I then used some super glue to fit the seat into place once I was happy with the seat itself. I felt the cockpit itself was pretty sparse, and having looked at the real one, I felt it could do with a bit more detail. Firstly, I added a few decals from the set, the two Williams logos that go on the seatbelt, and a couple of plaques with the model designation and that sort of thing. I find these decals settle better onto this surface than they do onto ribbon. Even after these decals, it still looked pretty sparse. The front radiator also has a toe loop which pops out through the front. Did that in aluminium with the toe loop in gloss red. I managed to have a look at the real car a few months ago as some reference, and I looked inside through one of the vents in the door and observed that there were a few more features, a few more wires and dials and logos and things like that. Firstly, I used some aluminium paint and thin paintbrush to do some of the rivets that are raised in the set, and then I used this Tamiya cable set to add some wires to the cockpit. I used some aluminium tape in very thin parts to look like some loops to secure the gear stick cable into place. I then superglued that onto the gear stick and fitted it into the car. Next thing I did was drill some holes into the section next to the driver's seat. I then put some more aluminium tape onto the end of some of this cable and fitted it in a bit like some wires that had been plugged in. I did 2 of these. I also applied some white and black tape to the blue electronics box at the top to simulate some wires and logos, and coloured in one of the pipes in silver to simulate another wire going to that electronics box. I coloured it in silver to differentiate it from the other ones. Anywhere where the super glue went over a bit, I went over it with a bit of black afterwards. I also added a spare decal to the white label just to give it a bit more detail, and another wire which went over the driver's head. As you can see here, just a few extra details just to make the interior look a little bit more interesting. I hope you can still see them once the windows are put in place. So I then went on to parts of the exhaust system and suspension. As this is a curbside kit, it's all very, very simple. There are 2 parts of the wishbone suspension which fits underneath. They slot into place very easily. I just used a little bit of thin glue. And then with the exhaust, I did it in steel and then went over it in some Tamiya smoke to give it a more sort of burnt look. And then added some more of that aluminium tape to give it a bit of detail. And that's pretty much it for this build. Quite a simple start, just adding a little bit of weathering, a bit of shading with some dark wash. And there it is. Obviously, as we move on to the body, considering the amount of decals on this car, that's where the real work will lie. But I'm pretty happy with how it started. Okay, thanks for watching. Please comment, like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.